What's up, everybody? My name is Puns, as always, and I'm coming at you very excited for the Eternal Throne with my official spoiler. I'd like to thank Direwolf once again for doing this whole program. I spent my 35,000 blue balls wisely, and I finally got a spoiler. And now, when I first saw this card, I was very excited. I thought that Direwolf actually sent me 2 spoilers, to make up for the fact I didn't get one originally. But you'll realize this when you actually look at the card. This is very much a tale of 2 cards. I like the card quite a bit, and you'll see why in a second. It's very, very powerful, and we'll be able to go over further why that is. So let's just get to the card. So pull me to the side here, and we have ourselves From Elements. Now, From Elements is a 1-power, single primal fast spell with the following effect. Deal 3 damage to an attacking enemy. And transmute triple fire, triple time, create a 4/4 Otherworldly visitor. Now, I'm going to get to that second part of the card in just a second. And you'll see why. But let's just start with this, the base version of this card. For 1 power, dealing 3 damage, this card is very powerful. Now, I like to kind of equate it to the Blue Defile. Not Blue Defiance. In that it's the 1 mana, deals with a attacking threat on the low curve. Now, of course, it has its downsides of that it has to have at least 3 health, but there are a lot of early game threats that are under that threshold that when they're attacking, they're going to have to be looking out for this card, because if they're in blue, I absolutely think you're going to be able to play this card. It has so many upsides as well. You'll be able to deal 4 damage scale up damage to a spell damage. Like, there's quite a few amount of spell damage boosters in the blue colors. Works with prodigious sorcery, be able to get it back, being able to deal something like that. And I think this is absolutely going to have an effect on the Expedition metagame. It could even see play in some kind of mono blue, and I'll explain why in a second. Some kind of mono blue build in Throne. Mostly just because it is a free spell with utility. But notice, guys, I'm not actually talking about the second half of the spell, because it's very different to me. I guess you might as well just cover it here. Otherworldly Visions. Pull through here. Make it thrive. Put it up. I was going to stack it right here. Underworldly Visions is a 6 power, triple fire, triple time. Otherworldly Visitor is a 4/4 Sentinel synergy. When you play a spell until your units... Okay. When you play a spell, your units get +1/+1 this turn. And summon, play a Ravenous Worm with +1/+1 for each unit in your void. Again, actually an incredibly solid card. Oh, it has 4 health. Having 4 health kind of sucks until they do something about Jack, which at some point something will be done about Jack. It's gonna happen. But the second half of this card is, there's just a weird disconnect from the first half of this card, because just looking at the card, just strictly by looking at it, you assume that there's some kind of Genev strategy involved here. It's just some kind of Genev, because those are the colors of the card. But I honestly don't see it. Like, unless we're trying to factor in some kind of Genev tokens, because I feel this deck, this card, this Otherworldly Visitor goes very well with Praxis. I know it is Praxis colors, but I think the strategy behind it floats very well in Praxis. And especially buffing your units when you're playing a spell, and creating a token on top of all of that too. especially something good to do when you've got your board wiped. You get to slap this bad boy down, and it gives you 2 bodies. And odds are, especially if you're playing, like, we've already seen Praxis decks that love to fill their void for cards like Kato, and the 12 threshold for Kato to get that 8/8. This, you get this, if you get there, you get a 12/12, or it scales down or up depending how many cards in your void, which is very nice. And you also get a 4/4 on top of it, which is just I hate to say that it's a solid body, unfortunately, because it dies to Jack, because Jack is the most ubiquitous card in the format right now, but I do think, overall, it's a solid design card, but there's just a disconnect. I can honestly see Praxis Tokens deck playing from Elements, and not even ever casting it, not playing blue in the deck at all, not, because you're doing your Praxis thing, and being able to just get the advantage of having this card once you hit 6 total influence that you need to be able to play it. I think this is honestly one of the better ways to play this card. But it still remains to see how good that influence will be in the new format. I mean, judging by everything we've seen so far, there's going to be so many different ways of utilizing influence, especially we see with the surge mechanic and all of these other things. I do believe there's going to be ways to get influence very easily, but I don't know if it'll be worth it for just this one card for both sides of it. I can see this card being utilized solely, like, from Elements being used in a blue deck, being used in a various of the blue strategies, maybe in a Elysian or Horu or Felm. Maybe Felm wants this card. I can see the From Elements part of this card being played, and not even a maybe just a Skycrag build, but not even using all 3 colors in order to take advantage of this transmute, which is very interesting card design space, because it allows them to make cards that are independently good. But if some strategy develops, say some kind of Genev tokens, or some kind of Genev aggro deck that ends up forming around, I can see playing this card here, because Otherworldly Visitor does definitely want you to fill the void to get full advantage of that summon. Also wants you to go wide, because you get to take advantage of that first ability to be able to buff the team with the Anthem effect when you're playing spells. And which is also nice too, that Otherworldly Visitor's effect does apply to itself, where you're going to be playing that spell, it'll turn it to a 5/5, or so on and so forth. And which is very nice, because we have seen in the past other cards that don't apply to themselves. Their buffs don't get through that, so that is certainly nice. But I really like this card, and I do think it in some capacity we'll see play. And same goes with draft. I mean, if you spent more than a modest amount of time in my channel, you do know my exact feelings about draft. But if I do have to address the draft potential of this card, I do believe that Biting Winds is the closest comparison I can think to this. And I think, Biting Winds is certainly a fairly good card. Saw quite a bit of play. If it's a very good card, blue, to my knowledge, in the current draft format. I've asked around. And so I think this card is still highly pickable in those colors. Maybe this pulls you towards going Genev, but this still remains to be seen. Like, a lot of the stuff we haven't seen the full set yet, and we have gotten a good draft preview that they posted on the website. But other than that, we haven't really seen a full comprehensive list of what's going on the set. But until we see that, will we have a greater picture. But I do think, just judging by the cards we have now, I do believe From Elements is 100% going to see play at Expedition. It's too good not to see play. Giving blue that kind of cheap removal is just fantastic. And I've kind of been looking at these spoilers a lot of it, because a lot of the cards I've seen so far have been very influence heavy, and this card no exception. And I feel like they're doing this because they want to make the Expedition meta feel very much different from the Throne meta. I don't think a lot of these heavy influence cards will see too much play in Throne, because although the power fixing is better, like you have the crests, you have the banners, and all the factions as well, and all manner of other fixing devices. I mean, we have seen the uncommon power cycle that coming through the Vowels, where you discard a power for your deck to gain a single influence of that color, which is certainly awesome. I hope that, and hope that allows for a greater like flexibility when it comes to creating a power base. Because right now in Expedition, it's very much okay. I'm a 2-color deck. I'm gonna play the Insignia. That's my 2 colors, and then play the Seat. That's my 2 colors, and then I'm gonna play some number of emblems, and then the rest are gonna be basic power. And I do think a greater variety of deck building comes into play when we have these different influence builders. We have these different power sources. And I do believe, hopefully, they'll push that in the right direction to be able to get influence in specific ways. We've already seen a couple cards. Like, we know, like, Reap. Reap is an interesting card that can gain influence in various ways. And we have Memento Mori. And most of those have only ever been seen in 5-color decks. And or you're trying to Last Light Judgment is reason people play Reap to get that for that Decimate, to make that cheaper. That's an entirely different story. But overall, I think for everything we've seen here and everything we know about the set so far, I think this is absolutely going to see play, and is a lot more, you can say, than a lot of rares. A lot of rares don't ever see play. I can tell. I went through my collection today. We were like, that's a card? We've never played with that card before. But I'm very excited to play with this. I'm not going to Destiny Premiums if I get them. And we'll see if I can actually snag another spoiler in the next wave. But until then, thank you so much, guys. I've been Punts for All, and I will see you guys later.